Welcome back to What Have You. I'm Rachel Jankovic.
I'm Becca Merkel. That might be it, folks.
All we got this week. Nothing happened. Nothing coming up. Nothing of interest. That's all. No. Actually, we're getting ready for Easter in our own strange ways
Easter's
this year.
Coming upon us. Oh.
I'm trying to homeschool.
It is.
Trying to homeschool. I can't say that I'm a real success at it.
I'm trying to be a teacher from afar.
I'm not really homeschooling. I'm trying to facilitate my children doing all their schoolwork at home, which is very different. Yeah. But it's,
I think no. I don't want to go saying that I want this to continue indefinitely. At all. But I'm actually kind of enjoying this weird moment because I've got all my kids at home. Well, not all of them. But for most of the day, I have 4 of my 5 at home. We have seen Knox a lot more just because, we're all confined to quarters. But it's funny because everybody is working like crazy. Like they're all doing all of their classes and everything. Yeah. So they're all around the house, but they're real quiet and intent. Which is a very different vibe than most of the time when everybody's around, like...
You feel like you have all your kids taking a reading rest.
Yes!
I actually had multiple children blow holes in multiple pairs of socks last week alone because of the sliding up and down the hall championships that were taking place.
I love it.
It went on for... I realized that it was... And I was like, I have a really high tolerance for noise and shenanigans because that was happening all week. Surprisingly, this Monday, I fizzled for a little while. That is why we're so hot.
Oh, there we go.
I was like, where is this blasting heat coming from?
The rear temperature.
The rear temp was set to roast.
High.
It's coming from behind us. So Monday was the day that I was really blindsided by the just difference of the schedule. Because I actually am really fine with all the noise at home in the background. It's fine. But I came home Monday under this illusion that I was hitting my week. We went and got dropped off this, the done schoolwork and picked up the next schoolwork and came home, and it was like somewhere in my mind I was like, now I'm going to hit it. This is my Monday. I don't know what I was thinking. I accidentally autopiloted into some idea of it being a productive Monday.
It's like stepping on the bottom step when it's not there.
Yeah, or like picking up a gallon of milk that you thought was full, but it isn't. You just whiz it up above your head suddenly. The problems. There's nothing quite as joyful as that. And, yeah, anyways, we had a little bit of that kind of hiccup. I basically got into where I was like, I am looking in the pantry of my heart for a idea of how to cope with this. And it was weird because it was not actually the situation that bothered me. It was the rhythm of it was wrong.
Oh, yeah.
All it was, nothing was really happening that should have given me a crisis, except for I think I came into it after a solid week of trying to mop the kitchen and not getting the kitchen mopped. Because what we were doing instead was messing the whole kitchen up, cleaning the whole kitchen up part way, messing the whole kitchen up again, cleaning it up part way. And even though I had gone so far as to get up on the counter and actually dust the pennant light shades and stuff.
Was really devoted.
No, I mean, I kept getting the kitchen 70% clean, but then it would be another meal. Okay. Then we'd be back at it, putting noodles in the sink. So then I'd go back around to come. So I kept doing that. And then, so Monday, I think I was like, this is it. I'm going to mop. But instead of mopping, people kept walking through my dust pile that I was sweeping and talking about our next meal that we were going to have. And I felt myself sort of looking around like, how am I going to get this done? This isn't working. Anyways, it was sort of the funny shock of it just being like...
I kind of think it's interesting that, well, here's a weirdo metaphor. I was reading
myself. I didn't bring a hair thing right now. Just hating it. Just needed to say that. My hair is making me feel more quarantined than I am.
Here, okay. I have it. Look, here's like a bread baggie holder.
I'll see if I can do something with that.
Okay. She's not even joking. She's actually taking a bread baggie holder and trying to get her hair out of her face. It's come to that.
It's basically...
No, bear with
hair ties are essential.
Bear with me on a weird metaphor right now. But you've got nowhere else to go and nothing else to do.
It's the only kind we have.
So the fact that I'm about to launch a strange, long metaphor. I was reading some article that was stupid in every way.
Oh, good use of time.
Yeah, it was about like 3 different species of pre-humans that they found all in the same cave. Some archaeological. It blew everyone's minds.
All came to the same watering hole over the years
everyone's
and died
minds,
of thirst.
It was like these are 3 separate, completely separate proto-human races.
Totally different humans.
And they all were in the same cave, which is showing an amazing diversity. But anyhow, so it was just this really silly...
Maybe they were somebody else's proto-human collection.
It's real dark. It was an early museum. But anyway,
I don't think they're taking into account what might have been happening.
What I was being stalled out with, well, aside from all the obvious things, it turns out that one of the skulls...
I'm in a position to tell you that bread bag ties are not helping.
But I'm going to take a picture before we leave.
It's not a twist tie. No, it's a bread clip.
It's a plastic clip. Now you're going into selfies. She's selfieing this, guys. I promise you're going to see... No, let me do it.
It looks really good, doesn't it?
Okay. You're going to have to turn your head a bit different. No. Wow. I can't... It's like I'm only getting a side view of the... You can't see it.
You turned on my weird... Oh, wow. That was good.
Okay. Yeah, that's close. No, it's just a line. Look.
Just keep talking for the audience about the bad...
Yeah, because Rachel's clearly invested in my story. Okay,
I just thought I would catch my bad hairdo.
Turn your head this way, and I'll do it. And you guys can see the Mormon church in the background.
Yeah. We saw somebody dumped off their junk in the Mormon church's parking lot, which is rude.
It's good.
Maybe we'll be arrested for...
I feel like that captured it, don't you?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Okay.
Back to my story.
Back to this proto-human type museum.
How is this going to tie in? Well, I'll tell you.
With a bread tie.
So, anyway, there were a number of breathtaking scientific leaps being made. One was it turns out they have a fragment of a skull that they think is from a 2 or 3-year-old. And based on that, they're coming up with a totally new genus of whatever. Doesn't matter. One of the ways in which they know that they were all there at the same time in the same cave, which was so surprising, is because it was right at the moment that the Earth's magnetic fields flip-flopped. And I was like, did that happen? What? And I bring this up at dinner. And
who was on hand to notice it when it did?
Apparently the magnetic fields switched. Now, whether that's true or whether that's not true, I am in no position to say, but the scientific world seems to think it happened. That at some point...
Caused?
I don't think they got that far, but I'm not... They certainly didn't in this article, but I was just... I kind of stalled out there.
To what end?
So we had the magnetic field for going one way, and then they just stopped and switched places. Now, what I'm trying to bring the link here is I feel like
I'm awaiting
God did that to everyone's schedule. We're all going along in left, right, and then suddenly it's like, whoa!
Never mind.
Right, left, right, left.
I don't feel like it's like
everybody's schedules.
I don't feel like it switched from left, right to right, left. I feel like it was like bunny hop, something. There's a completely different.
I just mean the cadence changed.
Yeah,
and
big time.
It changed for like everybody. Like, I don't...
It's really interesting
I
to me
don't know
that
if
I have
there's
international friends that are going through what we're going through. Like that, and it's very odd because it's just, well...
It's just sort of like, everyone, guess what? We're going to do it different now. And I feel like it's strange, the magnetic field's just flip-flopped on us, and we're not really sure.
Did I talk about I did I? We can't remember what we did last time. Did I talk about the Dust Bowl?
Well, we talked about it, yeah.
In the podcast,
I don't know.
Well, I was thinking about this because,
I think we were on the phone.
Yeah, I think so too. But I was just thinking about back in that was an incredibly bizarre situation. And it was a situation where all these people moved into new land that had a lot of, like, grasses and stuff in it, right? And they thought, and I think it was like a unusually wet couple years so that it looked like it could be good land to farm. And so they plowed it all up, all the prairie grasses and stuff, just assuming they did not know at that time the importance of the prairie grasses and actually keeping actually keeping the ground where it was. So they plowed it all up to plant stuff. And then there was no rain. And then it just was all this loose topsoil. And then there was wind. And so this is my point. If you could pardon people for thinking anything was very fixed in life, it would be the ground beneath you.
Right.
Right? Like, if you thought this is so permanent, this is the permanent things. Mm-hmm. This ground. But no, the wind came and it literally just took all of the topsoil away. Yeah. Like, gonzo. And then one day, whatever that one big day was in it's called something, where the one big windstorm that took so much. I feel like it said, the thing that I read said that it was 220,000 tons of topsoil that blew away to other places.
Down the whistling wind is an expression for a reason,
Right, and in Grandpa's book, Grandpa's autobiography, he is the master of understatement, but he talks about this one day when it looked like a sunny day, but it was a storm cloud like we'd never seen on the horizon. Okay. And then he was like, it turned out it wasn't a storm, it was dust. And then the next line is, and that was the end of the farm. Like, destroyed their farm. Like, that was the end of that life for them, was when. So God took all the dirt out of one place, and then put it in another place in a way that totally destroyed what was happening there. And the thing that the reason I'm thinking about this is it's that idea that this illusion we have of some things being so fixed. Yeah. And that the dirt, everyone's like, this isn't going anywhere.
Rachel, it was right after our podcast last week that I dropped you off.
Yes!
Okay, you guys, everyone listen. Rachel's texting, so she doesn't need to.
No, I'm not texting. I'm searching something. It's to fill in with actual legit details.
I go to drop Rachel off back at her house, and we actually stopped and looked at what the birds were doing because there was really weird bird behaviors going on. They were like big. I think they were the turkey buzzards.
The turkey vultures?
But they might have been eagles.
I looked it up. And
they were big.
It's called a kettle.
Yeah.
And they don't usually, you don't see, I assume hawks are all over the U.S., but
But they don't come in flocks.
Predatorial birds are usually the lone rangers. They sit aloof.
Yeah.
On high things.
Yeah.
What were you pointing at?
Looked like a hornet was going to come in your window. Anyway.
Safety first.
Yeah.
They don't go together. So I looked it up. It's apparently called a kettle. We believe they were turkey vultures. They were huge, enormous birds.
Just floating.
And they looked more graceful than a turkey vulture would have looked, but they weren't flapping their wings.
They were just circling, and
the kettle makes them look like they're stirring a big cauldron. They're just
there were like 3 of them, and we sat there and looked at it.
It was a lot more than 3 of them.
No, 3 different packs.
Oh, I was like, Becca, there was many more than 3.
No, but it was like they were swirling around like you assume there was a dead thing on the ground somewhere or something. But they were kind of all over the place. It was totally weird. I dropped Rachel off. I got home and we had an earthquake. Like right then. It was
very weird.
Really weird. It was a big earthquake for Idaho.
My earthquake experience was super odd because...
Is this yours?
Which one? You just can't stop snitching and snatching at my drink today. Well, that one's mine.
A minute ago, I took the one here and you said it was yours.
I know, but then you put yours there.
It's very hard to keep track.
So this is what's amazing to me. I was on the phone with Mom telling her about the bizarre behavior of the raptors.
Of the birds,
Because I've become a bird watcher. Something I've been doing lately. Yeah. And I was trying to figure out what the heck they were up to. So I was trying to sort that out. I'm on the phone with Mom, and I walked out. I made myself a cup of coffee. Walked out into the living room, and I sat down and set the coffee on the arm of the chair. But it's like it's a heavier chair.
Yeah.
Know? And the chair was just shaking. And I thought it was from me sitting in it. And I was like, looking around like, this is so odd. Like, why is this chair suddenly... And I was like, what does it have, like, one leg on the carpet? You know, like, on the rug or what's going on? And I was like, no, it'd have to be two. And I stood up from the chair and sat down again to see if it did it. And then it was still shaking. And then I looked at my coffee. And then I was on the phone with Mom. And I hear Grandpa yell in the background, "It's an earthquake!" And then I looked up and saw that our light fixture was swinging in the room, and I was like, wow.
I know. Well, I had dropped you off. I went home, and I immediately began putting my decals on my tiles again. So I was standing in my kitchen putting all these things on, and I was on the phone too, but I can't remember who I was talking to. And all of a sudden, I was like, hang on, what? All the kids started yelling, and I was like, why is the counter swaying? This is annoying. And then all my light fixtures just shaken away.
So
it was
funny.
Very odd.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you this because this is from a great sheet that is telling me it is the handy Dust Bowl facts.
Oh, we're back to the Dust Bowl. I'm just saying the reason I brought up the earthquake. This is just
important for you to.
I'm
Black
just saying
Sunday. That's what it was.
That God has. I mean, the earth does not pose a challenge to God when He wants to shake us up. He can blow all the topsoil away. He can shake the ground beneath us. It is...
and I think that's the thing, is that the only fixed thing is God. And we tend to think of the creation or our culture or our routine, methodology as being a fixed thing.
Our weekly schedule.
Okay, the Black Sunday storm was 200 miles across and 2,000 feet high with 65 miles an hour winds.
Wow.
Yes, and then this is amazing. More than 850 million tons of topsoil had blown off the southern plains in 1935. Nearly 8 tons of dirt for every resident of the United States.
Oh my goodness. In
the Dust Bowl, farmers lost 480 tons per acre. 100 million acres might never be productive farmland again.
Wow.
So... There's a thing, and this was also, people all had to wear masks because of all the dirt in the air, and it would only take 1 hour outside to totally blacken one of the masks that you were wearing.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, I just like the, it's important to notice sometimes.
Yeah. We're all being given a big up-close chance to notice right now.
I loved what Ben preached us last Sunday, and I loved what he was talking about when you go to the Word, people tend to go to the Word to try to confirm their own feelings instead of to have it conform you to the Word.
Right.
And I noticed that because the Bible Reading Challenge, we're currently in Jeremiah. Jeremiah is not stroking our
it's
egos.
It's not making us feel better.
It's not making everyone think like, good thing I looked this up right now. It's cheering me up. Instead,
interest printables.
Instead it's pretty heavy stuff in Jeremiah. And I saw somebody today posted in the group. I just glanced at it and I was thinking about this, but how through all of the coronavirus things that she's prayed for relief and prayed for this and prayed for, and it was like, but the reading in Jeremiah is all of a sudden it's like all of a sudden starting to pray about the wickedness of our land, about that is an interesting, that is neat, because you think, oh, I need to go read the word to try to encourage myself. Mm-hmm. Well, what are you going to do? You're going to go flipping for some bright spot somewhere that will pick you up. Instead of thinking, you know what we should do while in a long time of quarantine is read the weeping prophet.
Yeah.
I liked how old people called him Jeremy the prophet.
Yeah.
The old weeping Jeremy.
There was a really, it was a sort of on point. Ben read to me. Somebody had posted this. It's like, here's a quote. I bet you'll not guess who said it. It was this long thing about God judging us, and we need to repent, and we need to turn to Jesus, and he's just shut down all of our idols, and blah, blah, blah. Hulk Hogan.
Really? You were correct, but I would never have thought
He's the one who came forth with that one. Like, everyone, I've noticed.
I didn't know he was a Christian, did you?
No. I didn't remember that he was even a thing.
I didn't either, so there's that.
But it's like, he's speaking a word about we gotta turn to Christ and repent of our evil deeds. Yeah,
well,
I know.
He knows.
Somebody noticed.
He knows.
And it was him.
He's on it. I've been thinking about that. Every time it comes up, whose mother was it? Was it Spurgeon's mother who said that?
I think we've
revisited. We've done this before,
and I think we came down on Spurgeon, and we were right. It was Spurgeon.
Were we right? Because I think we attribute falsely to Spurgeon.
We often probably do.
Mom will correct us, because it was Mom last time who was like...
No, she said you were right, Becca. I remember that. And I think I was saying Spurgeon. Maybe you said Spurgeon, and she said you were right, Becca. It wasn't.
Well, we're back to the same argument with no further... I think it was a famous evangelist of some kind.
Spurgeon, surely.
But the point is, before he was saved, when he was living a rackety lifestyle, his mother, who was a believer, told him that, and it was influential in his conversion, that she wanted him to know that on the last day when God was sending him to hell, his mother would be there to say amen.
Yep.
You can see how that would take the wind out of your sails. But anyways, the reason I bring this up is that Christians need that kind of courage now to affirm God's intentions with our people, and to act like, I just want to say, to act as though this is not our doing, as though we bear no relationship to a land that is so much bloodshed of the unborn, so much absolute evil and detestation. How many of us are actually totally fine with, like, just think about going to Ulta. It's like Vanity Fair when you're in there with all this nastiness, like all of the advertising, and it's like, oh, well, I'm just here for moisturizer, or I'm just here for whatever. And I'm not saying Christians aren't allowed to be in Ulta. My point is, we don't act like it's as offensive as it is to God. Right. And so it's at the first sign of heaviness on our country, we're all like, give us relief, not give us whatever it takes for us to turn to you. Right. And not praising God for showing his strength and taking things away from us, but instead just worrying about our own comfort and our own
I like how much
safety.
Everyone does feel like we're in control. We are the master of our own destinies. And then suddenly a virus comes, and then we're like, what? And
this is impossible.
Like, how is this? We thought we were the king of the universe, and how is this virus happening?
Well, there's a billboard in our town for our hospital that just makes me cringe every time I see it. It's just evil.
Which one?
It's by across from Habitat for Humanity. That it's the hospital, and it has this lady. I feel like it maybe has an MRI machine, and the lady standing there, somebody's shooting the hole on the MRI machine, and the doctor standing there, but it says really big, "We are the healers." And they put that up before this unhealable illness came to us. And, but it just is so arrogant. You know, to be like, we are the ones who heal. We are the ones who cast down, and we are the ones who raise up.
Right.
It's just, anyways.
We're the ones who touch the mountains and they smoke.
Yeah, we are the ones who say to this MRI machine, run. I don't know. Well, the whole thing is just, we're so arrogant, and it is so much in need of being humbled.
I think God is clearly highlighting right now that we are not, in fact, in the driver's seat the way we like to think.
I've never worked so hard to try to get my hair out of my face.
She's using a straw? Is that a straw you've got going now?
It's all I have.
Right, let me see. We're going to have to open this up. No, it's going to be a new one.
It's not done. I'm not done. It's this.
I'm trying to break into her phone.
You can. It's the same as your passcode. Hold on. All right. I got it almost. You don't take the pictures
I'm
now.
Taking them. I'm taking them.
Becca.
I'm documenting.
You need to get a picture of me with 2 whole pieces of trash in my hair.
Here we go. Oh, no, go back. Yeah, because now I can hit both now. Oh, that was the one we were looking for.
Only the best.
That was
only the best from the quarantine. I think this is a new style.
I think it's got a certain
something. Look.
A certain panache.
Yeah, well, I feel better. So let's not belittle the one thing that got me out of this mess.
That's so funny.
Yeah, well,
anyways. Oh, man.
So anyways, all of this is just to say that as Christians, the more we are reading the Word, the more we recognize narratives like that, instead of that kind of like greeting card Christianity, which only has one note
Pleasant
ever.
Things,
right? Only one thing ever. And it's the kind of Christianity that would have God be the God of, you know, as Dad would always say, you know, baskets full of kittens, but not the God of dust storms that wipe out a nation. And that is just a thing that we have to realize, that we worship a far more powerful God.
One of the things in our worship, you know, every week, before we confess our sins, Dad would often pray for the nation, pray for repentance for abortion and celebration of sodomy and just all of the high-handed wickedness that our culture is doing. But then he always ends that sort of corporate prayer of repentance with the phrase, if we in the church regard iniquity in our own hearts or in our own midst, this prayer will be ineffectual, because we can't pray that God would turn
we can't be like,
the nation to
abortion, but we ourselves are going to watch the dirty shows when we can.
And that is one of the things that right now I've seen a lot of Christians really posting things that show that they are wasting their time at home, like watching things that really truly are an offense to God. And it's like, how on earth?
The stuff that ought to be going in my composting bin.
For the worms. Where the worm does not die, Rachel.
I've thought of that so many times.
Those
positively hellish back there. Where the worm doesn't die and the fire does not quench. Yeah.
But that is the thing, is that like, how could Christians pray that God would lift his hand against our nation while we are just sitting in our homes?
Well, we'd like to be fat and sassy on it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
like sitting in our homes actually enjoying and partaking in the wickedness.
And I'll tell you some things I don't even know why I'm going on this trail. Nonetheless, here we go. Back when I was a child, gay characters in shows and things was like just starting to be a thing that they were going to do.
And it was always a little more understated.
It was always understated. And then it started to get gradually more flamboyant, where is there any heroic girl in any show that does not have a best friend who's gay? Always the funny best gay man on the side.
Somewhere.
I remember Dad way back whenever explaining it to us that this is about moving the Overton window. You know, it's moving the thing that outrages people, like moving it along slowly. Now, the reason I bring this up is that because that was a long, I mean, like, that was a, I mean, I'm old now, so that was, 20 years ago?
Yeah.
Now, it's not at all uncommon. Like, there are awful debauch things that Christians dabble in all the time, as though it is inescapably part of our lives now.
Right.
That you should get your makeup tips from men who are obviously in total defiance of who God made them. That you should be, and okay, here's an example. This is me giving you really odd examples.
Okay.
There's a comedian who's like a it's a comedian of some kind who does videos.
Oh,
he did one video, Gale, I think. Gale with a Y, because he's Gale. Okay. And
is it him running around
cleaning up with a vacuum?
Yeah.
And there is no denying that there are funny lines in it.
There's some funny stuff.
There are funny lines in it. But the entire thing is debauched. And it is debauched because it is a man who's pretending to be a woman, making fun of the failings of women. But I have seen that shared among Christian women. All over the place. As though we can't wait to see a man in defiance of God making small petty jokes about, you know, like, where, and not even... Like, I agree. What I'm trying to say is, I'm not trying to say there's no humor in what he did.
There were some funny lines,
but he was being funny from a state of tragedy.
Yeah.
And why? It's like being like, oh, you know, this guy is dying, but he's telling good jokes right now, you know, while he's sinking, like, no thought to what. And all I'm trying to say is, you have been affected by the culture if you can watch that kind of thing and not.
Okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to just say it.
I'm glad you're going to say it.
I'm going to say it.
I know what you're going to say, I bet.
Tiger King.
You're going to pop off on the tiger.
Here's the thing, you guys.
How much I know about the Tiger King is zero. So.
Here's what I know about the Tiger King. Nothing. I know all the memes and all the jokes and all the people.
We know enough to tell you
I know enough, but let me give you, here's another.
Get your head out of the worm pit.
I've got another weird, bad metaphor. Okay, here we go. So the Tiger King, here's what I know. I know it's rated mature. I know that it's about a man married to 2 other men and keeps tigers and is flamboyant. And,
it's probably enough to know.
It looks atrocious, and it looks like it's the kind of thing that would be real awe-inspiring in its holy cow, look at how people live.
Yeah.
And that appears to be the attraction to it, is like, who knew that people could get this out there? And so, and everybody's stuck in quarantine, so they're all watching it. Now, here's the thing. Maybe I've said this on the podcast before, but it's been a while. Back, you know, Bedlam was the name of the insane asylum in England, and it was where they would keep all the insane people locked up, and it was truly horrifying conditions. And you have all these people.
Also, you know, something that was horrible about it is anybody who was wealthy
that's what I'm saying. That's my whole point.
No, I meant anyone who was wealthy who had mental problems would have been cared for privately somewhere where if they recovered, they would just recover. Anyone who was poor who was having mental problems would spend the rest of their life in there. Like, there was no medical care. There was no trying to help them. There was no, if you got in, you were never getting out.
They were just restrained and locked up.
Yeah.
And the thing is there was this pastime among some of the upper classes that they would go tour Bedlam in order to laugh at the people inside the cells.
Yeah, and to scare themselves.
Yeah, to be scared, but also to like go just take a tour and see the crazy that goes on in there. And that was like this little amusing time.
You don't have to go to a bad part of town to
all
do
you
that
have to do is dial up Tiger King on Netflix. And that is what apparently many Christians feel like they ought to pass the time during quarantine doing.
I always think of what Ben said about Breaking Bad, because when Breaking Bad was the hot topic. So Ben, back when Breaking Bad was all the new hot topic, and Christians everywhere watching total filth and just stupid yuckaduckiness all over the place. And the one, it used to be that people were always trotting out, it has death and resurrection themes. Yeah. Now they're always like, it helps to illustrate just the depravity of man and what sin does to us.
Right.
And Ben's comment was at the time he was doing that, meal with Jesus, that like down and outers Bible study.
Yep.
And he was like, if you're a Christian who is looking for like an insight into what sin does with us, and especially because it was Breaking Bad, the effects of meth
on your life.
Using our time. He was like, why don't you come instead to a Bible study where you're actually trying to reach out to someone? If you're so hot to see the manifestations of sin in people's lives, try sitting next to someone that you can like barely breathe because of how much he reeks of urine.
Yep.
And because he has thrown his whole life away because of getting involved in drugs. And ask yourself, without the filters, without the distance between you and that, is it, like you're being entertained, you're not being taught.
No.
You're not fearing God in this. You're actually fascinatedly looking through the portal at something that you don't bear a responsibility for.
You're eating the popcorn and you're being entertained by the misery of the brokenness of sin.
Yes, and Dabney, I think, when he was writing about the French novels or something back in the day, told everyone that it was bad for the human emotions to do this. And I think it's a really actually insightful point that he just was saying that God gave us emotions that we might act on them, and that by sending your emotions on dry runs all the time, you're teaching yourself to not be shocked, to not be sad, to not be like, and his point was you're supposed to feel pity for someone and act on that. You're supposed to show mercy, reach out, try to help things, but instead we experience the emotion, and then that itself is the entertainment because there is no actual connection. Yeah. So if you went down,
although we're not opposed to fiction and we're not opposed to any of those things.
But in this case, I don't think you need fiction, and I like.
But should you just be entertained by a display of sin?
No, you should not, because unless you're actually doing something there, like you could just say you're watching porn to check on the depravity of man. Right? Well, it's like it's a different kind of thrill people are getting out of this, but it is not any more appropriate.
But it's totally unhealthy. And the thing is that, again, if we in the church regard iniquity in our own hearts or in our own lives, how can we ask God to relent?
And you're probably not the gay, exotic tiger keeper, but if you're entertained by that, that's its own genre of problem, right? And it's just, all of this is like, guys, it's time to look at our own sins, acknowledging those as we try to, as we are pleading with God to call our nation to repentance, not in our world. It's the whole world that's under this one now.
Yeah, it's totally true. And then in the meantime, rather than giving ourselves over to epic time wasting or worse, during all this extra time, I feel like this is a weird moment where we have extra time. Turn a profit on that. And that does require some creativity.
I want to say that I'm not totally opposed to the message that people have given, which is like, simmer down a little bit, don't stress yourself out right now. Yeah. Because I actually think that there is an art to getting the most out of yourself and your children, and part of that involves chilling out a little bit sometimes.
Totally.
And like not being like, this is my big chance to do everything, but instead, as you know, me getting my kitchen mopped wasn't really my big chance for that. It was like, I thought I would, then I couldn't.
Then it turned out no.
But then I did in the end. I thought I would.
We have a happy ending.
I had a meltdown. I didn't actually have, I should use that in cautious. You don't know me, guys. I went outside on my smoking porch and wished I smoked for a minute. That's what I did. I wasn't yelling at people or anything. I was sort of just observing it as a shock of like, whoa. But this is another thing that's interesting. When I was pregnant with the twins, I had to sit down a lot more. And because I had to sit down a lot, I would sit down because I'd be having contractions.
Yeah.
I would sit down. Because at that time, we thought I might have them early, but no. My body, nobody needed to have worried about it. Nothing would have happened. But you don't know.
Yeah.
So I kept having to sit down, and I remember it so clearly. Sitting on the couch, feeling like a huge buffalo or something, looking at all the things that I needed to do. And I would just mentally walk the route of like, I need to pick that up. I need to wipe the table off. Yeah. Then I'll put that in the drawer. Yeah. Then I'll unload the dishwasher. Then I'll sweep that. Then, okay, first I'm going to pick that up, and then I'll wipe the table off. Then I'd go back over and over. And it was really that was not a joy. It was not a joy to sit there doing that. So I got far more into knitting at that time. Okay. And I started knitting, and I put it in a bowl, like a bin or something right beside the place where I typically sat down. Mm-hmm. So when I had to sit down, I would pick up something and just give it my attention and look at that. And it was a much more productive way to use my time, because instead of just looking around being cheesed off at my housekeeping needs, I was doing something productive that actually distracted my mind. For me, has been all about trying to find a rhythm between the pushing hard and then the things that are like that. Like where you're like, let's push, and then let's do something productive that is not as fascinated with the whole big picture. It's just, let's focus in, simmer down. Yeah. Anyways.
Completely.
This straw is working quite well.
It is. Her hair is staying up, and it's kind of cute. It's kind of
I would.
It's got a certain something.
Yeah, guys. Little did you know that if you have a straw, you can get a weird ponytail out of it.
This is going to turn out to be the big time that we have the expose that we're using a plastic straw.
Hashtag use what you got and keep it out of the landfill.
A paper one wouldn't have worked.
I think that the Costco using those paper straws is like literally the last straw I ever want to use. So
I can't.
It is so grotesque. I think that they are keeping us all out of the refills. The last
time I used one of these paper straws,
it's so
it was
nasty.
gone through one of the little lid there, and as you work your way through the drink, it gets soggier and soggier until the lid pinches it tight shut in the middle, and you can't get anything else out of it.
I just hate the sogginess.
It's gross.
There's a real reason we don't want that. I mean, it's like the worst part of a lollipop, but wrapped around. It's like, I just drink it without it. Like
how about a glass straw? I would drink out of a glass straw.
Yeah, but the idea of porting a straw around in my purse is it's just not good. No. Anyways. These are hard times.
I'm glad we've gotten into the real big issues
Big and ones. Little. Nothing is beyond us right now. I think we're a little late to tell you all about this, but Easter is coming. I'll tell you some of the funny things that we're doing here, because that was coming up on the people asking. We are doing some kind of a swap of food. Yeah. Where we'll hand each other. Maybe we'll throw it to each other to avoid contaminating
we'll send
one
it by drone.
Stuff that we usually would have for an Easter dinner. So there's that. The Ladies Fellowship in our church is doing some fun stuff. One of them is a Easter basket swap where people are, so you make or buy or whatever, things that you would put in another lady's Easter basket and write a note with each of them. It has to be a signed note so people know who it's from. And everyone drops off their contributions, and we're going to swap them around. So however, it was like between 5 and 15 items, you drop them off. And however many things you drop off is how many things we'll put in your basket. And then the Ladies Fellowship is contributing some stuff to some things.
Fill it out.
Yeah, and then people can drive by. It's like a takeout. They'll drop it off by Thursday, and then they'll drive by on Saturday. It's a by text, deliver to your car with someone with gloves on, probably, to keep things safe. Yeah. Your Easter basket with notes from different people, that should be fun. And then the other thing we're doing is a Easter bingo for the kids, which is we have a map drawn that's a loop out in the country, but it goes by a bunch of different people who are in the church's house. And so we made a little bingo board type thing that has everyone's going to put silly stuff out, like a kite on your mailbox or a cowboy hat, or there's balloons and funny stuff. And then at the end of that, it's sort of like an Easter egg hunt from inside your car.
Yeah, I love it.
And then the last stop is we're filling a ton of clear cups, like coffee cups, with like a little bit of Easter grass and candy and treats and things, and a He Is Risen sticker on the top. So the last thing will be a self-serve, take yourself a cup for every child in the car.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Super festive. That is very
fun.
It's
festive in a really odd way.
Now, how about we give an idea of something to cook in these times?
Well, I always make sourdough croissants for Easter.
You're just rubbing in the sourdough right now.
Well, you won't take any of mine. So.
No, I won't take any of yours. I will do it my own self. But I can't because the first one died and I haven't done a new one.
Let me encourage you to use this time as a double bounce on the sourdough. Try a little harder, Beck.
I might need a triple bounce. I'm going to try again. I am. I keep writing it down every day on my, to-do list. It's like, oh, yeah, restart the sourdough.
It'll just take you a hot second to start it.
I know, but I got to get my emotions back in it again.
I put cloth over mine.
I did, too.
Okay.
Yeah. This time I'm going to keep it away from any alcohol. It was in that cupboard. It had the whiskey bottle in it. So that might be...
I don't really know that it could have done that to it, but whatever.
I'm just saying, I'm going to have it in a new place this time.
Okay, yeah. And then, anyways, I always make sourdough croissants. I always make Jell-O cubes, rainbow Jell-O cubes.
Yeah.
So there's that. And,
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, I can't say it's our most exciting year for Easter.
No,
typically there's a lot more prep going, because if you're going to have a big feast day for 50 people, it's a different operation than a swap meet potluck in our own homes. But the neat thing about this is, just like with Christmas, it's a really important holiday, and it actually really doesn't matter that it is coming to our lives such as they are right now. In fact, it's a really important it's an important moment to recognize how important Easter actually is, and that the fact that our celebrations are not what make the holiday. So, it's a good reminder.
It's true, and I have a hot tip.
Oh, good.
Rory's website.
Oh, yeah.
So good. So our nephew is a senior, and he's one of the seniors who's having everything in the universe canceled. And he has a really funny little website and video about the class of 2020 that has now become the class of COVID-19.
I think his website to buy shirts is...
It's called theclassofcovid19.com.
Yes.
And here's my point here. Everyone is graduating. High school students and college students next month. And buying a graduation gift is always real hard. That's a tough one.
This is your chance.
This is a great, easy gift. It just says the class of COVID-19, and he has it in Latin, a little Latin slogan, everything is canceled. Anyway, you should go check out his website either way. It'll give you a laugh.
He's funny.
He's funny.
It's great.
And it is an easy gift for any graduates.
And thoughtful. Because it's acknowledging their pain.
Yeah.
It's acknowledging that this was a real show stealer. Yeah. This one was.
Yeah, exactly.
They are not having their time in the sun.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Anyways.
That's what we've got for you today, you guys.
Until next time, look busy and don't watch The Tiger King.
And pack a hairband when you go places.
Well,
just in case.
Or use a straw.
Yep.
Still going strong.
Yep.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.